We're live.
Are we live? Does it say we're live?
I think so.
It doesn't say that on here.
Give it time to catch up. Moisturise your hands.
I'm moisturising my hands. Here we go. Oh, we are live. We are live.
Hi.
I can see it on my screen. Yay, we're live. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. We're back again, yeah.
Emma and I were just chatting about how much we loved last night. It took me ages to get to sleep because I was on such a vibe and a high, and thank you so much for creating such a wonderful energy within this brand new group that we've created, and from the back of that live webinar. Thank you for the energy in the live, thank you for the energy after the live, thank you for all the wonderful emails of support and questions that we've had since. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've just literally been speaking to people all day today on email, on Messenger, on Zoom. It's been incredible. Oh, you got me live there.
I was just trying to find the questions. Sorry, Emma, carry on. It says we're live.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. So thank you to everybody that joined last night. And if you're hopping back on live again, obviously, we had so many questions last night. And to make sure that we were able to answer all of those questions and not be going through the night, which we could quite easily have done, we thought we'll have a dedicated Q&A session. So make sure that we go back through all of your questions and that you all have answers to those. So here we are again.
Take our time. I think we've got all of the questions that have come through email, on Messenger. We've got the ones that have come through the Facebook Live last night, and we've got the ones that have come underneath the post. We're going to go through those, and then if anybody else has got questions, please do post them as we're talking live, and we'll come back through and filter those. So also to the people, if you're watching on replay as well, because I know we've got people all around the world maybe not being able to watch this on live, then please also ask questions, because we can always come back and answer those as well. And we've got people
definitely interact as we go.
We've got
who's hopping on? Who's live?
So Joanna's live, Michelle, Loratu. Hello, Loratu, we're so excited.
She's in. We're so excited.
Michelle says, how have you managed to get your hair looking so fab after wearing that hat this morning? Is that me? I'm like, do you know what? I haven't done anything to my hair. I'm blessed with hair that I can do anything with, although it's desperately in need of a cut. I feel like Maggie Thatcher.
Ali wakes up looking this good.
I do.
So unfair.
Liv's here. Yay. Hi, gorgeous. She's here. So many lovely people. Jane's here. Hello, Jane. And we're so excited for you as well. You're coming to join us as well on the program. It's so exciting to go on this journey with you, the next phase of this journey. So excited to be.
Amazing.
And Lorata says she's excited too.
We're very excited.
So should we start with going through the questions, because there are quite a lot. We might be here, so people jumping on and off, do say hello. I'm going to monitor the comments.
Yeah, I'll just check in as well. Do we want to start with the ones from last night, I think, and then we've got some more from today, and then anything that hasn't been covered will come that's asked today. We'll come back to that, because it might already have come up earlier. So yeah,
let's go through that. So should we go from the top? So the first one is from Jane. And she's asked, would you suggest you need to be a qualified health coach in order to get value from your program? If so, who would you suggest you train with? Somebody else has also asked, I do not have a qualification in coaching. Would this be something you would recommend I invest in before taking your course? Emma, do you want to start off by answering that one?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely not. You do not need to have a coaching qualification to go through this program. And in all honesty, one of the things that I've found is that your clients, they don't really know what that qualification entails anyway. So, their priority is not, what letters you got after your name or what course or where you studied. Their concern is, can this person help me? And do I like this person? Do I feel like this is somebody that I could work with? Have they done what I have done? That's the most important thing that's on your client's mind, is, can you solve their problems? Can you get them to where they want to be? And that's the thing that they're going to be looking for from you. Ali will probably back me up on this. Like, people very rarely say, so where did you study? And what course did you study? It just doesn't happen. And the reality is that your experience, your life experience, and then all of the skills and experience that you've had in your previous work to date is your greatest credential. It really is. So you don't need to have a qualification, but I caveat that with, you have to be very transparent with your messaging and make sure that you're operating within your remit and what's safe. So for instance, if you were not yet a qualified nutritional therapist, I wouldn't be expecting you to be launching programs for people perhaps with certain chronic conditions that you're not qualified to serve them with. But that doesn't mean to say that you couldn't be a wellness coach or a healthy lifestyle coach. So it's just about being in integrity and being safe and being honest about what you are and are not qualified to do. I think that's the key thing here.
I started my journey talking about what I was learning on coaching programs, but I already started kind of the coaching process. And I think as long as you're always open and honest about what you're doing, then transparency is just so key. I think it's the most important thing. And the other thing I would say on the back of that is that though I've got a whole folder full of credentials and qualifications sat in my cupboard in beautiful folders, no one has ever asked to see it. Just like Emma said, the question that most people come to me isn't that, can you tell me which courses you've taken? Can you tell me what you learned in those courses? It's just like, this is where I am. I have seen you go through this and I can see where you are right now. Can you show me how you did it? Can you take me on the same journey? What did you do? Can you help me?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, if I'm, but to be honest, I would actually suggest that you start building building your brand up, building your audience up, and start working with some clients before you go investing a lot of time and money into courses and qualifications, because you want to make sure that that is in fact what you want to teach. And I know a lot of people that have taken courses, myself included. I've got qualifications that I don't ever use. So start building your business, see what you love first. And then if you feel like you want to do some extra qualifications as like backup, and for your own personal development and journey, then absolutely, but it's not a prerequisite.
Yeah, I would agree. I would really agree. I think the second part of that is, or when people come to me and they say, do I need to have a coaching qualification? I often say that the coaching qualification can give you the confidence that you might feel you need, but you can also get that confidence in other areas. You can do it all at the same time. You can do any qualification to learn the skills, but that doesn't mean to say you don't have to wait until, as long as you're transparent on that way, on that path. In terms of the who would you suggest training with? I think, again, that goes back to being a very, very personal choice. I spent a lot of time investigating the different courses that I could take, both in health coaching or nutritional. I had a look to see whether I wanted to go to university, whether I wanted to do an online course. And I think there are so many different factors that play into your life as well. So I couldn't go back to uni because I had 2 small kids, and the drop-offs and pickups wouldn't have worked with that way. There were certain things that I wanted to learn about in terms of holistic health, and there were some courses that focused more on nutrition and some focused more on the holistic side. Some people wanted to do more mindfulness. So I think it's like going into a shop and trying to see what fits for you, what works for you, and only you can really know which one's going to fit for you. There are obviously so many that we could recommend, but Jane, perhaps if you ask us, I think it's Jane who was asking that, if you tell us a little bit more about what kind of coaching you want to do, then we can probably direct you to the ones that we've either taken, or we know we know so many coaches in this space and around the space that we can probably point you in some direction to speak to some people to find out a bit more. Would you say that, Emma?
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes to that part of the program where we're going to be looking at designing your services and your programs, we will look at and help you to look at like what areas, what topics do you feel like you've mastered enough within your own life to be able to teach that to other people? What have you been through yourself that you feel that you're able to impart that knowledge to somebody? And there may be certain things that you're still learning yourself that perhaps now's not the right time to teach those things, but they might be for the future programs. So we'll go through that process and make sure that anything that you're teaching, you feel really confident that you have got the experience and the ability to be able to help other people.
I think your first point, Emma, about being your experience, being your credentials, probably the most important one that you can ever have, because people can take coaching programs, people can read books, and they can just regurgitate what they've learned, but it's actually the embodiment of what you learn on those courses that actually makes you the coach, because you can then help coach people through the same thing because you've been there and you've done it and you know what's going on. So I think in answer to that question, do you need to be a qualified health coach in order to get value from the program? The answer is simply no, you don't. It can complement it.
Cool. Next.
So Astrid, can you use this if you're not a qualified coach? Oh, we just answered that. Answered that question.
Yep.
Joanna, I have a medical training business. Would this fit into the program? And I'm going to ask you to, I think you've had a think about.
Yeah, Joanna and I have actually had, and we've exchanged some conversation today anyway. So I think for me, it would be about understanding a bit more about that business and what those services are. But also Joanna mentioned, and perhaps some other people are in the same boat, that it's a franchise business. So for me, it would be about understanding, are there any restrictions from the global brand in terms of what you can do with your marketing activity, and is there going to be any conflict in terms of what we would be suggesting for your approach to business? And I think somebody asked last night as well, are there any businesses that I would say the approach isn't quite right for? And for me, from experience in the past, some multi-level marketing companies in the wellness space have quite a lot of restrictions in terms of what you can and can't say and do. So I think if you have any questions about whether it's right for your business, just get in touch with us and we can look at it on a case-by-case basis, and be really transparent with you as to whether or not we think it's going to work based on individual circumstances. And I think primarily there's been a lot of questions around, is this right for a service business? Absolutely, this is designed for service-based businesses primarily, which doesn't mean to say that if you've got products to sell as well, that this isn't also going to be really complementary. Because just like Ali, she has a service-based business, but she also has products that she sells off the back of that business. But if it's purely e-commerce, so you're just having a online shop essentially, I would probably suggest a slightly different strategy for you. So again, get in touch with me if you're not quite sure. But if you've got a service business and you've got products that you want to sell off the back of that service business, but primarily it's service-based, then this is designed exactly for you.
Perfect. Great. Susie says, I still work full-time. Would it be possible to still join, as I want to build up my business over a couple of years? And then on the second part of that is, how long could it take to launch this framework? So in answer to how long does it take to launch this framework? 14 weeks.
That's why the program's 14 weeks. The
length of the program, and that's what I went through, and I just did every single thing step by step, going through the framework, did it as I was told to do it, and boom, 14 weeks we were up and running and off. And then all I've done is just repeat that. And actually, interestingly, Emma and I have just said that we're going to go back, and as we run this program, we're going to be doing it with you. So there's never a right time or a wrong time to actually redo this, whether you're established or just starting. This is a really great program just to keep making sure that you're totally up to date and spot on message, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the business architect approach, that is very much about making sure that you're building the business from the ground up. So even if you haven't started, you're putting in place the right foundations that you can then build on top of. But equally, if you're already a bit further down the line, you can always go back through this process, because there's going to be a level of refinement that needs to be done. If you're not getting the results that you want, then there is refinement that needs to be done, probably at all steps of the process. And perhaps it was that your foundations were a little bit rocky to start with, and maybe you just haven't got all of those pieces of the jigsaw in place. So this is ultimately about growth, whether that's growth from a standing start or whether that's growth from you're already working with clients and you've got some income, but you just want to take it up a notch.
Yeah. So to the other point, I still work full time. Would it be possible to still join, as I want to build up my business over a couple of years? And when we discussed this, Emma, I think this was quite a good coaching point, wasn't it? This was, what would you say if this was somebody coming to you on a one-to-one basis? How would you reply?
So for me, it comes down to how badly do you want it, and how committed are you? Because you know, there's a saying that if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. If you don't, you just find excuses. And this is exactly what we're talking about here, is that if you really want to make a go of this, then you will prioritize it. And for me, it just comes down to the level of commitment. It's absolutely possible to, you know, do bits in the evening, to give up some of your weekends. And in fact, I've spoken to Susie already today, and we had a really good chat about this. And like, she is so dedicated, even to the point where she was saying, like, you know, I might take some holiday days if I need to, and that's absolutely perfect. But there are going to be parts of the program where, you know, you will need to maybe, you know, put aside a day on the weekend or whatever to really focus. And there's going to be parts of the program where you can just, you know, listen in whilst you're driving to work, for instance. So it's about being creative with your time and finding solutions, not excuses why you can't. I think that would be my stance on it.
I think if there's anyone listening who thinks, I want to build up my business over a couple of years, there's something that I would say in terms of, you can build your business over whatever period of time you decide. If you want to build your business in 14 weeks, you can build a business in 14 weeks. If you want to build a business in 2 years or 5 years, that's the time it will going to be take. And there was one, actually, I didn't mention it yesterday, but I remember looking back at Christmas, I was looking back at some old journals, and I was in a really dark place at the time. And I wrote in really hard letters, I will not contribute financially for 4 years to our family, full stop, underlined.
I remember you telling me this.
And what happened? It's just ridiculous. And 4 years later, and I wrote that in the October 2017, in the October 2020, it was like, oh, the floodgates are opening. And it was a subconscious point in time that I decided that I didn't want to let any money in. I didn't want to earn any money. I didn't want to have a business. So I think that in answer to that question, you can build a business, and it can take as long as you decide you want it to take.
Yeah, that's the key thing, is that another question that I was asked today, which I don't think is actually on our sheet, so I will cover it quickly because I think it's important, is, you know, where potentially would I see somebody coming into this program at the end of that 14 weeks? And the answer to that is, if you want to be working with clients, if you want to launch a program, then you can absolutely do that within the time that we're going to be in the program. So it comes down to your desire and your commitment to do that. But absolutely, you will be able to, if that's what you want to do.
Next question. Jodie says, I tend to take far too long to write a post. I think this is when we, talking about social media, and lose momentum as a result, as I absolutely don't want to head back down the burnout route. So this, I think, is all about social media. And when we touched on the social media, it's about really recognizing that social media is a business tool. It is not your business. And I think there was also something that I said as well, is about when you embody what you teach, you just be you. My social media feed is basically just me being me, doing me, which is my business. And that's when you you don't feel burnout, because you're just sharing everything that you believe in, everything that you love, and you don't have to think about it, because it just is. It's not like, what am I going to write a social media post about today? It's like, what am I doing? What could help people? Oh, well, I did this or I did that, and you just share it. So that's when you see social media in a very, very different way. That's when you can prevent the burnout. That's when you don't have this niggle all the time. And I think there's an element in terms of the program that Emma helped me see that. And then also having that structure around it just gets you into the right habit, so it flows more naturally rather than having to try and think about it all the time. You've been practicing it through the program, so that when you come out of the other end, I nearly said when you get spat out the other end, but you're not spat out. Like, when you've gone through the program and you come out the other end, you kind of feel like it's just a natural thing. You're saying it in the right way at the right time, doing the right things, and So there's absolutely no need for burnout if you're doing it in the right way.
Exactly. The burnout comes, I think, when you feel like you don't really know what you're doing, and there's this constant like fear around it, because you'll post something and be like, oh my gosh, how many people have liked it? How many people have commented on it? And then you're like, oh, maybe I should delete it and do something else. And you post something else, you're like, oh, now I'm just going to keep on checking back to see whether anyone's liked it. Like when you're able to just enjoy that process and just post out and then lean back from it, it's not stressful. So it is a lot to do with how you see social media and your mentality around that, I think, and making it not a stressful process.
I started my social media for Heal Yourself Happy One as a diary for when I was doing a lot of my training, so that I could look back and see, oh, what was I thinking when I tried this and when I did that? And so I used it almost as for me. My social media feed was for me, but in the process of doing it, I found that loads of people were coming, oh, that's really interesting, thanks for sharing that. So I did it for me, but the value that I was putting out there was really helping other people. So then I saw it as a tool of, oh, well, it's my tool to help me, but it's also my tool to help you. And I've just continued doing that. This is what the thought process is that's happening in my mind today, or this is what a client has said to me today, and I want to remember that, so I'm going to post about it, because in a year's time it will pop back up on my memory feed. So it really doesn't have to be stressful. You just have to reframe it and see it in a very, very different light.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that answers that question. Nikki says, did you use a marketing automation product for the nurture process? I will let you talk through your nurture process.
So I get all excited and geeky. No, yes, in answer to your question, Nikki, we do use marketing automation tools. So there are a few tools that you'll need for your business. So the marketing automation that you are talking about, primarily I would recommend ConvertKit for that. And then we use a couple of other tools which we integrate with ConvertKit. So basically you have this like whole system, this network that is all integrated, all talks to each other. You know, you collect leads from here, they go into the email list, and then also people can sign up and use your online platforms for delivering your programs. So all of the systems we use are very much like seamlessly integrated with each other, which actually gives you that support structure that you need within your business. And like any business, if you had a bricks and mortar business, if you were going to open a restaurant, you would have to kit out your kitchen. So there's going to be an element of needing to kit out your business with some online tools. Luckily for us, most of those tools, they don't come with like big upfront costs associated with them. They're just pay monthly platforms. So they're really reasonable. I think like all of the tools in my business probably don't cost me any more than about £120 a month. That's it. So as an overhead for a business, we are talking about a high profit business here. We really are, because it's all you, isn't it, really? So does that answer that question?
It does, and there's just a couple coming up which are relevant. So I'll say, will you show us how to use them? Absolutely.
Yes.
And then Michelle has said, and you explain how to do this in the program? Yes, absolutely. Yes. That's exactly.
Yes, and yeah.
Very, very geeky, and she shows you exactly what.
Yes, I do. And also, I don't teach anything that I don't use in my own business. So I can give you working examples of everything, and also give you templates which you can use, and then you can adapt those and apply them to your own business. So that will save you a lot of time and a lot of messing about if you can then take like a structure of a template and then fill it with all of your beautiful things.
I'm just going to take a pause here, Emma, because we've just had somebody else who's decided to come and join the program with us, Suzanne Gardner.
Yeah. Oh, Suzanne! Congratulations, Suzanne. Amazing. Fabulous.
So exciting. So next,
Suzanne on live, is she watching?
I don't know. I can see some people online, but I don't know. If you're watching, Suzanne, say, let us know you're there so we can celebrate with you.
Amazing.
Next question is from Jules. What kind of things are high enough quality for a free offer? And I know we talked about that yesterday. It's got to be really great value. It can't be just something that anyone can pick up or you can download off the internet. It's got to be something that's relevant to you and personal to you, and something that's going to actually help people do something with or without you. It's about giving something for free from the bottom of your heart that's really, really useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Online. Yay, Suzanne!
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just talk about high value. What does that look like?
So the reason why we're doing it is because we want to give people an experience of working with you. It's almost like a try before you buy opportunity. So ideally, it has to be something that is really relevant to what you offer in your paid services. So there's a couple of ways that you can do that. I won't go into too much detail because I've got a lot of questions to get through, but either it might be, so say for instance, you've got like a signature program of some kind. Either you might give somebody more of like a top line overview of what that process looks like. So take people through your methodology, give them a taster of what they could expect working with you. Or you might choose one specific area of your business and go into a lot more depth on that one thing and give people lots of value on that one thing. And then obviously you can talk about the other aspects of what you do as well off the back of that. So we'll cover all of that we'll cover all of that, help you decide on what your freebie should be, how to structure it, how to promote it, all of those things.
I remember, Emma, when after meeting you obviously on the panel, I went in through your email sequence and I got your very high quality freebie. And when I did it, I was like, oh, I'm only doing one of the steps. No wonder my business isn't working. So it's almost saying, oh, well, thank you. That was really useful. I now know where I need to go and focus on my business, but actually, I don't know what I'm doing in those areas. So actually, I need Emma.
Yes, exactly.
It can value, but it's also a really helpful tool for you to drive traffic into your business too.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, you raise a really good point there, Ali. What I will do is drop a link to my free offer into the group, so you can actually have a look at it and see how I've gone about that and how that's structured, and use that as a bit of a working example for your own.
Yeah, great title. So that was answering Jules. Right, Sloan. The people I'm trying to reach have stopped checking social media except on occasion. I'm not sure how else to get in front of them. So my personal initial response to that is, well, that's exactly what this program is tailored to help you do. Go beyond the people who you were already talking to who've stopped looking, is to reach beyond that, but also put out information out there so that the people who you currently have watching you want to come back and carry on engaging with you and be excited to see what's coming up next. So that's entirely what this program is really all about. Emma, would you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, and I think there's also an element of mindset here, that just because people aren't necessarily engaging with you visibly doesn't mean to say they're not watching, because I can't remember the number of times that I've had an email drop in or an inbox message drop in from somebody out of the blue, and I think Ali's lovely expression, she calls them farts in the wind, which is delightful. But farts in the wind come out of nowhere. Where'd that come from? But you're like, I didn't even know this person was watching, and they're like, oh my god, I've been watching you for months, I've downloaded all your stuff, I've been reading all your emails, and to you they've come out of nowhere. So just because you don't feel like people are watching isn't necessarily the truth, and if people aren't engaging, then I guess my question is, how much are you engaging with them? Because you have to be the one to set the pace and the tone, and then people respond to you. So there's a few things there. Hopefully that answers the question. But yes, and essentially, Ali, everything that we're going to be teaching is also about driving new and consistent traffic all the time, so that you've got fresh leads coming in.
The next question is from Joanna. Does your Facebook community provide your best leads? Yes. I think what I've learned from having a Facebook community, and I think there's a few questions that this might lead on to further down the line, but having this private group in the Facebook capacity means that you feel like you're kind of like a community, and it's a place where I can come in and showcase who I am. I always find it incredibly amazing that when I end up having discovery calls or when I start working with clients, they know everything about me. They know the name of my dog, they know the name of my cat, they know the name of my children, they know that I wore a hat this morning. You know, there is so much in there. And I think if you are a service-based business, it is all about the connection. Everything is about the connection that they have with you. And the only way that they can feel that they've got that connection is if you've got this community where you're talking live. And when they can hear you and speak to you and know how you talk, they know about your sense of humor. They think, I can go and sit down in front of this person because I already feel like I know her.
Yeah, actually quite funny. Today I had a conversation with a lady who said to me, I've been following for a while. She's been following Ali for a while, and just like last night I felt like I was meeting a celebrity because she felt like she knew Ali so well. And I said to her, well, then that's how social media should be done, because when somebody feels as though they really know you, even though you may never have met, that shows the level of connection that Ali is creating within her communities. So I think that's kind of, you know,
I think
there.
It's important even more so in the wellness space, and everything we're talking about is primarily about the wellness area, for people to come and talk about their own wellness and their own well-being. That first step of wanting to go and speak to somebody is actually nerve-wracking enough already. To do that with a stranger is quite possibly one of the reasons why people aren't coming to you. If you're not showing yourself or willing to be seen as you, that could be one of the reasons why people aren't picking up the phone or writing the email. They feel that they need to have known you for a while before they can actually come and tell you about their deepest, darkest secrets that might be causing them some problems. So I think that answers that question. Yes, Facebook community does provide my best leads because people come into the community to see who I am, hear about me, sit and watch my masterclasses, my lives, see how I write, see the photographs of me, and then they think, oh, well, I can just come in and talk to her because I feel like I know her.
Yeah, it's the same for my business as well. Like most of my clients come from inside of my sort of private communities, either in my group or my email list. And the way that I like to think about this, and people say, well, what's the difference between a private group and say a public page, like a business page or something, is again, if you imagine you actually had a shop on the high street, your public pages, that's the space on the pavement outside of your shop where you can put signs up. You'd be like, here's my beautiful window display, you know, come on inside and have a look at this. But it's not until somebody actually gets into the shop where they get to try things on, they get to browse, they get to speak to you, they get to connect with you. You know, so there is a real difference in the level of intimacy in those spaces. And if you want to make sales, you've got to get people into the shop.
And I think with a business coach, the same as well, whether it's wellness or business. You know, I knew I had a connection with you and I knew that I would want to hang out with you. It's a very personal relationship. So you have to feel comfortable being able to talk about everything. So yeah, Facebook community is where you get your leads. Chloe says, any advice on coping with social media burnout when trying to build a business? I'm referring to myself here. I'm struggling with overwhelm every time I go online. I think we answered that one earlier. This is about just seeing social media as a tool and just using it as a tool. And then also that second point of actually you don't have to make it a stressful thing. It's just about being you, doing you online.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like Ali and I can relate to this. We've both got hectic personal lives. We've both got young children. I gave birth at the beginning of lockdown. Ali's had 2 boys homeschooling for the whole of the last pretty much 12 months or most of it. And for both of us, the last 12 months, we've seen our businesses scale up and we've worked less. So, you know, for us, it's not about working harder, it's working smarter, and it's about creating balance. And we are both very much a family first brand. And, you know, that's really our reason why we do what we do. So hopefully that gives you some confidence that anything that we're able to do and operate alongside our life, you're going to be able to do that as well.
Nikki says, does this have to be done on Facebook? Is this specifically about Facebook groups? So I think in terms of what the program talks about, we're showcasing what we have done in Facebook, but you don't actually have to create your group in Facebook if that's not where you want to create it. Emma, do you want to talk a little bit about the logistics of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about obviously the importance of having private communities, the difference between something being public and private, but it doesn't have to be a Facebook group. There are other platforms and places where you can create closed communities. You could have a LinkedIn group. You might use something like Slack, for instance, which is like a community tool, which isn't on social media at all. It's more like an app-based program. But essentially what we will do in the program is teach you the funnel steps and how to attract the audience, and then where you choose to send them is largely up to you. And all I say is just create your community in a place where you like to be and that you're going to show up, because if you're going to have a community, you're going to need to show up for them. So the best thing is to do it somewhere where you know you can make that commitment to people.
And I think also then on the back of where you're pointing, as we also teach in the program, what you then do within that community to create that connection and how you use that group for your business.
Yeah.
So it can be anywhere. Joanna says, how long do you spend a day or a week engaging with your Facebook community? So when we talked about this question, we said, okay, so we created this group last night. And there are 140 people and growing every minute. We see people coming in, and we had over 200 comments on the live last night. We've had countless emails and messages. That's how quickly you can do it. You can create it so quickly, and you don't actually have to spend that much time. So this just goes back to, and I think Emma will speak to this, but it's about your level of commitment. What do you feel aligned with in terms of what's right for you in your life? If you're going into your community feeling like, oh, I've got to go into my community, then that's not going to create the community and the energy, right? You've got to want to go in there.
Yeah.
So that's to your level of aligned commitment. Emma, did you want to speak about that?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head, Ali, to be honest. Like I've said to you a million times, and you're like, should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? Like, what should I be doing? I was like, Ali, you need to do what you feel that you can commit to, because it's the consistency of your commitment that creates the momentum and the flow. I'm not going to say to you, you have to be on social media 5 days a week, because if that's not going to be realistic for you, then you're going to stumble and trip up and you're not going to do it. You're going to get fed up. You're going to feel like, I've got social media burnout and I don't want to do it anymore. Stamp feet. So I would rather you say, I can commit to 2 days a week. Fab. Let's do 2 days a week. If you are making that commitment, then you show up for those 2 days and you do it consistently. And that's what creates that compound effect. It's that, and if you've ever seen the penny doubling over 30 days example, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google the compound effect, penny doubling. But essentially it's, small consistent action over time is what builds momentum, and that's what we're looking for in a community, is that momentum and engagement. So it really comes down to you and your personal circumstances.
I also think on the back of that as well, you can also say that we are all just human. So even if you commit to doing something every day or twice a week or whatever you do, if something happens, then we're all just human. I know poor Darcy was in hospital last week and you had to take a step back. I know that I completely forgot that it was Monday and I was meant to be doing a Facebook Live and I completely forgot. But you're just transparent and you say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And that's the community.
Yeah, life happens. Like I just said, I had a terrible couple of weeks recently. Like my baby girl was in hospital a couple of times, and sometimes I just had to say, like, I'm taking a step out because my family are my priority, and that's okay. No one's gonna ditch you because you put your family first. And in fact, if you've built a community of the right kind of people, they are going to be so supportive of you. So it's just about being honest about where you are.
I'm going to take another pause because we've just had somebody else join the program. Celebrating you. Cannot wait to be with you for 14 weeks.
I missed who it was.
Michelle Brown. And she's on live.
Hi, Michelle. Amazing. Welcome.
Celebrating with you. Gosh, this group is growing.
It is. Got incredible ladies joining. So buzzing.
So Nick says, how to create the community on Facebook, as difficult to grow a group on Facebook? Well, I think we've just answered that. We've just 24 hours, and it's all about the desire, the passion, the excitement, the hype, the build up, and it's as easy as you want to make it to be.
But we will show you what
I'll show you how.
what we did, exactly what we did to get here. So
yeah. Next question. Oh, how long will it take to build an engaged community? I think we've covered that question. Oh, I love this next question. Jules.
Wear your sparkly trousers, Ali.
Oh no, I've got to post a picture of that. Jules says, I don't want to do Facebook Lives.
Oh, Jules. Oh, Jules.
I stamped my feet when Emma told me I had to do Facebook Lives. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. You tell your story. Yours is better than mine. I was just like,
I have to confess, I cried when someone told me I had to do a Facebook Live. I cried like a baby. I was like, I'm not doing it. I am not a performing monkey. I'm not doing it. And like for ages, I would sit there with the mouse like hovered over the little live button, and suddenly it starts counting down. I'd be panicking, my heart would be racing. I'd be like, oh my goodness. And it would take me so long to press the button. And then sometimes I'd go live and I'd panic and I'd come off and delete it straight away. Okay. So if I can get over myself to where I am today, where I'm, very comfortable sitting here talking to you, and we're just having a conversation, like there's no performance here, it's just us talking to you, then anybody can, because I was petrified, absolutely petrified.
I think if we can relate that into the program, the fact that you've got Emma and you've got me who have been through what you're feeling, and we can hold you and we can support you and take you through the tools that we use to get over ourselves. And I think one of the biggest things is the fear of being seen and that fear of being judged. Showing yourself vulnerably. It's very different writing words to actually speaking words. And I think you all think we've got to be as perfect as the BBC News reporters, but actually, when you get over the fact that you don't have to be that way at all, and you just have to be you, and trusting and knowing what you're saying is being heard from a place of love, then it's all good. So part of that program is Emma and I helping you through that process, and also being part of this community in a private group. You get to practice it in a small space, so you can utilize that facility really to come on and practice doing your lives in a smaller space, so that you get practiced and then go out on your own groups. I would also go and urge you to all go and have a look at my Facebook Lives. Okay, so this is my story, and this is a year ago, Marks and Spencer's asked me to go live on all of their social media channels. And they told me that there were about 15 million followers watching and tuning into their lives on their social media feeds. And this was only shortly after Emma had told me that I had to do Facebook Live. So I was petrified. So if you go and watch some of those lives that are coming back up on my timeline at the moment, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is a year ago, you will see how much I've come on in just a year. I had my printed notes, I was scripted, I had them sellotaped up, but it didn't matter. I still got hundreds and hundreds of comments and loves and likes from doing that in that way. I don't need notes anymore because I've grown confidence from that consistent action over time. So
yeah, that's the thing here, is it comes down to it's not a fear of Facebook Live, it's a fear of being seen. So I think that's something obviously that we'll help you with and support you with, because I don't doubt for a minute that you are okay with talking about what you do with the people around you that love you. And you can talk about that really passionately. So it's not about your inability to talk about what you do, or the things that you love. It's more just this fear of the camera, I think, that is the problem. So I've got a number of techniques that I can share with you for helping you to just take baby steps rather than jump right in the deep end, which I think is really key. Because ultimately, the only way that you build confidence is to do things that push you a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and to continue to do them. Because confidence is not a personality trait for a lot of people. For some people, it's a skill that you have to work on over time. And the only way that you get better at a skill is to practice it. And confidence is exactly the same. Like, confidence comes with doing things over and over again until you get really good at them.
And this, I think, feeds back into one of the answers that we talked about earlier, in the fact that if you are in the wellness space and somebody wants to come and utilize your service, then they need to know you and feel like they've got a connection with you first. And the only way to do that is by talking live within your groups on your social media platforms. So I think it's really important. And I also know that from having worked with Emma for the last 15 months, that whatever I've resisted the most has been the one thing that has given me the biggest increase in my confidence and also in my business. So the Facebook Live was the first thing. And then on the back of that, there's been lots of other things where I've also felt like saying, Emma, I'm not doing that. And she said, you need to do that. I'm not doing it. The latest one was that I had to put out how much I was earning on I'm not doing that. She's going to do that. So, okay. So it's a little bit like you want to do it and you've got your foot on the accelerator and you're going, but you've also got your foot on the brake because I'm not going. So it's about learning how to lift your foot off the brake, and that's what this program is going to help you do. You can either lift it off really, really quickly, or you can do it little by little. So, and that's what we help you navigate how to do that. Michelle's just said, I'm happy to stand in front of a group of 300 people and talk, but social media, it's the fact that it's there for an eternity that worries me. Well, it doesn't have to be there for an eternity, because you can remove it if you want to. Just like Emma did when she didn't like it. Just delete it.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore, but yes.
So I know the Facebook Lives is often one of the biggest things that people struggle with, but we're here to help you. We've been there. We can help you get through that bit. Emma says, I realise you have a lot of experience in the wellness industry, but is there any industry that your approach doesn't apply to? We've spoken before, and I'm certain that you can help me. I'm an HR consultant, and I'm also thinking a couple of my clients.
Yes, so this is Emma asking, isn't it?
Yeah, Emma's problem.
Yeah. So I would say that this business architecture approach, it is really designed for anybody in a coaching, consulting, or therapy type role, really, a service-based business. Yes, I've worked with a lot of wellness coaches, but the other area that I really specialize in is professional services as well. So if you've got a service that you're offering in the professional space, then these strategies work. And my own business is an example of that, because I'm not actually a wellness coach, I'm a business coach. And every strategy that I employ in my own business is exactly the strategies that I teach, because I know that they work. Yeah, I think anyone that's in those sort of industries, this can work for. Again, if you're not sure, just drop me a message and we can always have a chat about it and just work out if it's right for you.
Thank you. Right, next question. So this is one a few people have asked. I would be really interested to understand a bit more around how much you help us to build or structure our programs and offerings within a 14-week course. Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah.
How much do you help us build or structure our program offerings? And I know that that's mainly around the last module, I think, isn't it, Emma?
Yes, there's a whole module dedicated to designing and mapping out your programs and services. So that includes looking at the overall brand hierarchy in terms of how do each of these programs fit within your overall brand umbrella. So you have like an overarching umbrella for your brand, and then you have a stream of different services and products and programs underneath that. So what we'll work out is what kind of brand structure are you going to have for that? You know, are you going to have like a continuous thread, like a branded house, like Ali has with hers? She's got Love for Life, Calm for Life. Yes, and then we'll go through the process of mapping out all of your program launches and what you're going to do when throughout the year, so you never have to doubt what you've got coming up or what you should be focusing on. So we will map all that out. We will look at how you name your programs, how you describe your programs, how you talk about them, to share the outcomes with people, where the benefits are, where the features are. I will show you how to actually create an online platform so that you can deliver your services. So, a private membership hub where people can log in, watch videos, download workbooks, all of those things. I will show you how to do. And you will actually have the perfect example of that, because you're going to have access to my online program. So you'll be able to see exactly how that works and experience that from a user journey as well as a coach. So I will show you how to do all of those things. And there's also a module on how to run your coaching programs and ensure that your client delivery is first class as well, because referrals, again, are so important in this industry, and testimonials are so important in this industry. Does that answer that question?
I was going to add something in there to share my experience of how you've helped me in terms of building and creating programs. So while I wanted to show you this, because this is how we've worked out, now I've got confidence about building and creating programs. I came to Emma with one, and then on the back of that, I've suddenly got a year full of programs. And that is because Emma is so good at drawing the information out of me, and we have this great space in terms of being able to brainstorm it. But she says, well, I can hear something that sounds a bit like this, Ali. Dum, dum, dum. Does it sound like that? And I'm like, oh, yes, it does. And then I'll go away and I'll kind of like think about it, and I'll come back and say, Emma, what about this? And she'll say, yes. And what about this? And so it's a very fluid kind of bouncing ideas off each other. And I think in terms of this program, that's how, being in Emma's energy and in my energy, we can help you also with being part of the community. There could be opportunities for collaboration, and doing things, all of this together. But it's about drawing the information out of your minds, and we can help you then put that into a program for your specific audience.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, actually, because I think it's actually quite hard part of the process for me to explain how this happens, because I channel creatively. So when I'm having conversations with people and you're telling me, I've got this idea and I was thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, this is how I'm seeing this. I've got these words are coming to me. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm hearing. And I know this sounds probably like a little bit woo, but this is the flow that Ali's talking about. So for me, it's about listening to you and your ideas, and then for me to help you to define that and refine what that looks like, and help you kind of package that up. Is that
yeah
yeah?
So the artist just said, will this happen in the live sessions? So yes, this can happen in the live sessions. And I think it's probably worth touching on the point here that there is also an opportunity to have VIP sessions as well. So if you want to go deeper outside of the live sessions with us, then there's also that opportunity to do that as well. Yeah. Jules also says, I've got all the typical mental blocks, but I feel like I really struggle with creativity, lead magnet ideas, what to put in a newsletter, what to put in a program, what it should look like, what handouts I need to create, and all of that. I think we've just answered that in terms of the program.
You've just described the program, Jules.
All of that gets handled. And I think Emma touched on in an earlier answer, she has the templates, so you can use the templates. When you get used to using the templates, you get more confident, it's then about how you can then bring your character into it and slightly tweak it as well. So yes.
Yeah, we will bring out your creativity, don't you worry.
Yep. Jane has just said, will there be replays? So everything you're experiencing now in terms of us streaming live and your ability to be able to watch everything live, yes, it's not going to be live and then gone. It's live. You can watch recordings as many times as you wish to. So you can take notes, you can go back, you can do what you like.
Yeah, and you'll also have support of the tutorials within my private members hub as well. So each week you'll be able to log on to that particular module. There'll be some short videos, so they are short and sweet. Yeah. Shouldn't take you really any longer than about an hour to actually go through the videos. And then for each strategy, there's also a workbook that you can download. So and Ali loves to get her printer going and put them in folders and color coordinate them and all of those things. There's a workbook for everything, because I'm very like step by step, so everything is broken down to help you to then kind of like re-engineer that process, like break it down and then put it back together again as something that you want to put out there publicly. I think she's gone off to find her folders. Have you? Where's Ali gone? I think she's gone to get her folders, but she's going to show you all the workbooks And really those are there that's to help guide your self-learning. So you'll do those in your own time, and then when you come to the live sessions, that's your opportunity to get help on what you're working on, ask questions specific to your business, talk through your ideas, get our input, get our eyes all over your business. So that's what they're all there for. And then in between the live sessions, you will have access to the private community where you can ask questions, and so you don't need to wait for those live sessions to ask a question, but obviously you've got that as an option as well. Here she comes. What's she got? What have you got?
I have to go and have a look again in a minute. I'll go and find it.
Your workbook folder.
I know, I can't find it.
You were in the kitchen earlier when we were talking, I think.
No.
Yeah.
I'll find it in a minute. All right, what I will do is after this session, I'll go and find it properly, okay, and I can come on and just show people what it looks like.
All right.
How much time per week should we anticipate to putting into watching and attending content, and recommended time for doing our own work? I realize that's probably how long is a piece of string. I've had a bit of a bad habit of taking too much on and not using my time well. And then on the back of that, Tips also asked, what do you think the time commitment is per week to get the most out of this program? So we've had a discussion about this, and the whole time, I said to Emma, I said, well, if I go back to how I was when I first started this program, there was never the question of time. This was, I want to make this work. I want to make my business successful. So I'm going to do what it takes. And it wasn't necessarily about the time element at all. It was about the commitment and the priority that I was willing to put on this. And I just did it. It was just a decision. I'm going to do it. You know, and it's all mapped out so simply. There's workbooks, there's a video, and as Emma touched on earlier, it's about just being creative with your time. You know, I listened to the audios when I was on the school run. I did listen to them when I was doing supper. I would sit with my workbooks and I would schedule in time, because I knew that I was speaking to you each week. So it was like, well, I need to get that done before next week. So when am I going to schedule it in? And I think it just goes down to your mindset. I had the mindset was, I have a business and I want to make it successful. And this is going to teach me how to make it successful. So I make time for it. I have a business. I'm going to treat it like a business. It's not a hobby, and it's not going to be an expensive hobby. This is something I want to make profitable. So I'm going to actually do this.
Yeah. And ultimately we all want, we want time and money freedom, but we have to do the work up front in order to then achieve those things. They don't just come from doing nothing. We have to put in the work in the beginning, yeah, and then those great things come, yeah, to us. And I think if I had to put timings on it, I think I've already touched and said the videos will probably take about an hour of listening. So some of the modules are longer than others. Some of them have got 6 videos of say 10 minutes each. Other modules are shorter in terms of the video content. And then there's workbooks that you can, print off, sit down with cuppa and give yourself that thinking space each week. And then obviously you've got the live sessions, which I would anticipate maybe being up to 90 minutes.
Yeah. Emma and I have a life as well. So we're not going to be spending just chat hours with you. This is going to be specific.
Very focused.
Yeah. And you'll get this done. Somebody's just asked, are the sessions on Zoom or on Facebook? So they're going to be a mixture. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some like this with the 2 of us coming on. There'll be some with one of us, some with coming just on us talking at Facebook through Facebook Live at you. And then there are going to be some where we will host in Zoom so that you will get the opportunity to interact with us. So it's a real mix and a real blend of how we're going to do it. Yep. I think also the other thing I was going to say is, how long is a piece of string? Yes, it is a piece of string, because it might take me a really short period of time to do one module because I already know what I'm going to say, or I'm already clear on it. And then another module, I might not have had any clue about it. So it's completely, sorry, my son's asking for more time on an app. That's what that really loud noise was. So I think it is a very, very personal thing, but I think you've touched on the ballpark figures.
Yeah, I think I would expect you to be, probably trying to put on top of the live sessions and watching the videos, actual self-reflection time and self-learning time. There probably ought to be you know, at least maybe 6 to 8 hours spread across the week in order to do that. But again, it's like one of those things, the more you put in, the more you get back out. If I want to be a professional sports person, and someone said to me, well, you know, and I said to you, well, how long is it going to take me to become that professional sports person that's at the top of my game? You know, you would say, well, it depends how many hours you're willing to put into practice.
Yeah, I think so. To be open and totally honest, you do have to put the time in. Nothing comes from nothing. And if what you're doing isn't working, and you keep repeating doing the same thing over and over again and still nothing's working, then it's time to make a change, do something differently, and learn from the people who've made it work.
And it is worth it. You put the hard graft in at the beginning, and then you get the reward, and it's always worth it.
The Lilo effect.
The Lilo effect, yeah. Puff early, and then it gets much easier, and you can float around on some tropical island somewhere on your Lilo.
Topping it up every now and again. Next question from Astrid. I'm worried about overworking and the effects it can have, especially now that I have children. I'm wondering how this is possible to scale up without that happening. So I can answer that in terms of when I came to Emma, I felt like I was working all hours. I was working with clients, my private clients. I was seeing them at 8 in the morning and 8 p.m. in the evening. And I just suddenly realized that was exhausting me. And I was in the danger zone of going back to where I was when I was in corporate, getting really, really burnt out. So little by little, I started to readjust my hours. And that was really frightening because I thought, well, no one's going to want me. You know, if I'm not doing the early mornings and the evenings, which is when everybody's free, then no one's going to want my services. But actually, when I took the plunge and just said, no, these are my hours, this is what I'm doing. That then started to work. As I said yesterday on the live, I don't see my private clients before 11 and I don't see anyone after 5. And then also we touched on the fact that this program allows you to become able to work smarter because you're reaching more people in the same amount of time. That's the whole beauty of running online programs. You start to notice similar traits and patterns with the people that come and work with you and ask you the same questions. And then that's how you get the ideas for your programs. Just like Emma, lots of people coming to work with her, so that's how the framework was bought. That's how I've written my programs, because the same clients ask me the same questions. So then you create the programs and you can reach more people in a shorter space of time. So that's when you start to condense your hours and you do not have to burn out. And if I can do that in lockdown with 2 kids homeschooling and still build my business, it's possible with just a few hours a day.
Yeah. And I've had a baby.
Exactly.
If I can have a newborn baby in lockdown and still be able to do what we do in business, then anyone can.
I think that's also a mindset shift again, isn't it? It's not only how you do it, which is what the framework teaches, but it's also that mental mindset attitude of I can actually lean back and still grow my business. And that's the part that we can both help with. Astrid also says, I'm not that used to Facebook and only use it now and again. I'm not a natural at chatting online. I took a course. There was an in Facebook group, but I didn't really find it suited me and it slightly put me off. So I'm not that used to Facebook and only use it now and again. Okay, so this is very, very simple. You just come into the group and you listen in terms of the Facebook. And when you're in a Facebook group, you don't actually have to publicly speak or do Facebook Lives unless you want to practice or do it. You're just there to receive the information and ask questions, and you can do that through the written word if you wish. So you don't actually have to show yourself and be visible. That's what I would say in response to that.
I think also just to touch on, for me, people say, oh, well, which platforms should I be on? Because there's so many. My recommendation is that you choose 2 platforms to start with. You don't need to be everywhere on every social media platform and also in order to have a really successful business.
Well, that's a different question, Emma. That's a different question. She's saying in terms of the delivery of the program. Don't worry.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought she was talking about her doing social media.
Well, maybe. I've read it in a different way, as in how she takes the program.
Okay. I'll come on to what I was going to say then when another question comes up. And if we haven't answered your question, Astrid, come back to us, because make sure that we have understood what you were asking there.
I think if you don't feel comfortable taking a program online, then there's also, once again, you can do the VIP option and have the opportunity to chat outside of the group with Emma and I, or you can come and both Emma and I do private coaching. So there's an opportunity to do it that way as well and get the same benefit. Let me go and find that question that where is that question that you were just answering? Down here. Okay. Do you mainly focus on Instagram and Facebook? I've been using LinkedIn as I coach leaders. I'm also interested in looking into Clubhouse as a potential option. So I think that
okay.
answer that question now.
Yeah, I was a little bit ahead of myself there. Sorry. So as I was saying, for me, it's about choosing the platforms where you feel that you can show up as your best, really. Clubhouse, for instance, is a new platform, but it's largely audio based. So if you are actually a great speaker and you work, you can show the best of who you are through that platform, then by all means, Clubhouse is a great growth platform for you. If, for instance, you're a great writer, then you might want to choose a different platform such as Facebook, or concentrate a little bit more on your email marketing. But ultimately what I would say is choose two. You don't need to be everywhere. Until you've got a company where you're big enough to have a team of people to support you, it's about focus. And you can build a really successful business just using a couple of platforms and become really good at mastering those first before you try and spread your wings and end up spreading yourself and your focus too far. So it doesn't have to be Facebook and Instagram, but those are two platforms that are incredibly effective in the wellness space. They're two platforms that Ali and I have used primarily to grow our business. But if you feel as though your audience are elsewhere, then really it's about taking the strategy and applying it to the platform, which goes back to what Ali was saying earlier, that the social media, it's just a tool, it's a platform. The actual the marketing and the strategy and the content creation is the same. Wherever you're putting it, it's about creating compelling content. So we can talk about this forever in the program, but it's definitely choose the platforms that you love and you want to be on, because again, it's going to come back to how consistent you are. If you hate Instagram, don't try and build your business on Instagram.
Yeah,
it's quite simple, really. Like, choose the ones where you feel that you can be your best.
I think there's also an element of, go back to the Lilo effect. If you go on and you start on a new platform and nothing's happening after 6 months, don't jump ship and go somewhere else and start again, because what you'll find is that actually you do not know how long people are watching. And sometimes it's the seeds that get planted so early on in your business that actually come to fruition, some of them 3 years later, I'm finding. And it's because they've seen you consistently talking on one platform. So it's about staying consistent in one or two platforms. I think you're absolutely right. If you try and spread yourself too thin and manage multiple platforms, then that's probably when you do get social media burnout, unless you're going to find something else to do it.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation. One of the ladies that has joined this program, I had a conversation with today, and she messaged me and she said, we spoke in 2019. Yeah. So we spoke in 2019. I first spoke to her, and today she's joined a program 2 years later. So, sometimes, like Ali says, you're planting those seeds all the time. Some of them come to fruition much quicker than others, but your job is just to keep nurturing them.
Yeah. So that's answering that question. How detailed does the social media training get? I've signed up to similar programs in the past, but it's never helped me with the detail, particularly around Facebook advertising. Oh, Emma. Well, Emma goes into all the detail in all of it. What, when, how, what language you use. And then in terms of the Facebook advertising, I had no clue. I still don't have a clue. I just say, Emma, can you help me?
Yeah. But I think the important thing is that I do teach. I do teach it. Yeah. So obviously Ali and I are still working together, so she's got me to bounce that off still even now. But I do go into all the detail of how to set up the ad, what type of ad you need to create, what kind of content do you need to put onto the ad, and then how do you check your results and optimize them as well, so that you're getting the best return on the investment. So that is part of one of the tech tutorials that we will go through, and I will share my screen and literally walk you through it, like click here, click there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if people are worried, it's actually, you've got it on a video, so you can pause the video and click and then go again and click and go again and click again. So it's very, very specific about how to do the Facebook ads. I think in terms of the social media training, then once again, we touched on it yesterday, there is a framework to the social media, and you just follow that framework and you just do it until it's a habit, until it becomes just something that you do naturally. So it does get deep down and dirty on how to do that. So yes. I'm not working in the wellness space. Would the program work for me? I think we've covered that off in quite a few of the questions in terms of who and what it works for. So anything that's service led.
So service-based businesses, consultants, coaches,
yeah.
therapists.
Yeah, there's another question that says that. Where are we going? Right, here we go. Nikki asks, what starting point do you really realistically need to be at for this? I am right at the start. I've got no business name yet or a website. And you started off in one step with talking about brand. So without those, I feel like I'm at the wrong point to get started on it. I don't think you are, because I rebuilt my whole business from the minute I started working with Emma. And I think you've touched on that earlier. It doesn't matter where you are. In fact, if you are at nothing, this is probably one of the best places to start, because you're really, really clear, and then you don't have to unpick it all like I did and redo it all again. So it's a really great space to be wherever you are in your business. As I said, I'm going to go through the whole program again and review and reflect on my business as I go through it as well. So
yeah, you're constantly evolving your business. So actually, as long as you've got a desire for growth, that doesn't matter whether you're starting from nothing and you want to grow to having your first clients, or whether you've already been in business a few years, but maybe you've pivoted a little bit, perhaps your message isn't quite aligned anymore, and you need to go back and do that refinement, and you really want to scale up the number of people that you're working with, and obviously the income that comes with that. So yeah, if you're starting out, great.
Michelle asks, how do you feel about having other coaches in your Facebook group? I'm assuming that you mean in my private Facebook community. How do I feel about having other coaches? I've got so many coaches in my group, and I love that they're there. I think, I don't know in what way you're asking that question. Are you worried that they would be copying me, or is it, am I worried that they're going to be taking my clients and my business? Having worked so hard on that kind of mindset, it's about reframing that and just saying there is more than enough to go around. I think I said yesterday, there are 66 billion people in the world.
7 billion, I think, is it?
Some ridiculous number, whatever it is. There's never going to be enough coaches to help that many people in the world. And if those coaches would like to be in my Facebook group, then I love them being there.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I have other business coaches in my group. I work with other business coaches and I teach them to do what I do. And some people are like, but aren't you creating competition for yourself? No, there are enough people for all of us. And, you know, I believe wholeheartedly that if somebody's going to choose that other business coach because they like their way of doing things and perhaps they resonate a little bit more with them over me, I'm fine with that. And likewise, I know there's going to be people that will work with me because of the exact same reason. So it's just a shift in mindset. Like Ali said yesterday, they're not your competition. You know, if anything, they could be, you know, your collaborators. So it just comes down to, do you see, you know, do you have almost like a lack mindset that there's not enough people out there for everybody? Because in reality, you know, there's only one of you. You can't help the entire world. So it's very much about just shifting to understanding that, you know, just because there's another person out there doing something similar doesn't mean that there's not enough. You know, Julia Roberts isn't worried about Jennifer Aniston doing acting as well, because I'm pretty sure that there is space for both of them.
I'm also in groups with other coaches, and I go in there because I want to connect with them. I like seeing what they're talking about. It's interesting. And actually, Monica says she's, I know that Monica's actually a health coach, and she's within my private group, and she says it feeds her inspiration. And I go back to why I started, and that was for me to inspire others to do and be the same. So I think it goes back to this whole point of when I rise, I'm going to bring people with me. So we're all in this together, the more that we do it together, which is another reason why we wanted to do this program. We've had amazing success, and we could have kept it a secret and just gone, oh, let's keep going, and we're not going to tell anyone. But actually our bigger vision is, let's all do it. The more of us who do it, the more success we create, the better. We all rise together, don't we? You know, we all help and lift and support each other. And the more people who get into that mindset, the better it is. And actually, if you're thinking that, you're almost putting yourself a protective veil around yourself, because that's what you think and why you'd be going into a group. So why would you allow anybody into that group? Because you're going to be thinking that they're thinking the same as you. So you've almost put a protective blocker around yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay, let's keep going through the questions. I'll come back through. What techniques did you do align yourself to receive money? So this was, I think I said yesterday, this was such a big area for me to recognize that I was misaligned. And also goes to one of the points that Emma talked about yesterday, is that running all the way through this program, we are constantly talking about mindset and what's on your mind, whether that be money, whether that be coaches in your business, whether that be anything. It's what is your next limiting belief? What is your next limiting thought? And let's look at that, and let's unpick that and unravel that and see what's behind that one, because there will be another one, another level, another devil. There's another thought process that's going on. And Emma's been brilliant at coaching me through that. And, you know, it just all works.
It's having the conversations and being open to like understanding where that belief's coming from. And then it's like, how do we break that down? And then how do we build up better ones?
Yeah. So what are the techniques? I think that's a whole training. That's actually a whole program to do that, but there will be elements of that running all the way through. Yeah. Once again, the VIP option, if there are some specific issues around that, would be really helpful to get both Emma's and mine's perspective on it and help you work through that. But we will be doing some element of that in the live trainings and modules as well.
Yeah.
Nick says, I love your energy, Ali and Emma. Also like the corporate background, and the architecture strategy resonates with my background. I'm newly starting out coach and want to grow and create a lead funnel. I hadn't made the link with what I do to wellness and was doubting if this was suitable, but I can see how the business architecture would work for similar online businesses. Oh, that's not a question, but yes. Sarah says, will this course run again? I'm doing an MSc in nutritional therapy and it sounds perfect. So I think there's 2 points to recall. Emma, I think you said you could start building now and do this program alongside doing it. Do you want to speak to that again?
Yeah, I think you know, if you're still studying, you know, one of the things that you can be doing now is thinking about building your brand and your presence, building up that audience so that when you are qualified and you're ready to start offering your services, you've got that community and you've done that work already, you've got that engagement. But I mean, I suppose the other thing is that even though you're studying as a nutritional therapist, so you wouldn't necessarily be running programs and services where you are required to have that qualification. You know, just remembering that we have to operate within our safe remit. But that doesn't mean to say that you can't help people now, because you clearly have a passion for wellness. Perhaps you've been on a personal journey yourself and that's brought you into nutrition the same way that it did for me when I went on my personal, you know, wellness journey. And I ended up studying at 2 different nutritional colleges, but I was working with people and helping them even though I was studying. So it really depends on whether you have the appetite to start building your business and working with people now. And then when you're qualified, you can then shift. You can shift your products and services then. Will we be running it again? This is the first time we've run it. Obviously, it's been an amazing response so far, but we haven't got any dates set or anything for that yet. But if building a business is on the cards for you for the foreseeable future, don't feel that you have to hold yourself back just because you haven't got your qualification certificate just yet. And we spoke to that earlier. Do you need to have a certificate? No, you don't. And that can always come later down the line.
Just keep transparent.
Yeah, just be in integrity with what you're offering. That's all I'd say.
So I've had my business for some time. I now do challenges and launches into a group coaching. Some are successful and some are not, but I keep going. Well done, Monica. I was definitely need support with my upcoming launch. I'm doing one now after a challenge, which was good, but I have no sign-ups yet for the program. Keeping the energy during the launch is something I struggle with. I definitely need help with Facebook ads to attract people into my group, which is not growing as fast as I would like it to. I guess the question is, what kind of support can I expect when I'm a little bit further down the line and I do not want to reinvent the wheel? I need some audit probably on my ideal client and my current structure, and of course ads and the funnel and an email list too. So I suppose the question is, what kind of support can I expect when I'm a little bit further down the line and I don't want to reinvent the wheel? I think we've said that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is about tweaking the wheel or polishing the wheel, which is, as I've said, and I've been open and honest, I'm going to be going through this program again alongside everybody else and just reviewing and making sure that I'm constantly up to date, and smoothing it out and just making it even more polished and as I go forward. So it's not reinventing the wheel, it's just improving the wheel that you have. Emma, is that what you would say?
Yes, and ultimately you've mentioned that, sorry, who asked that question? Monica, you've mentioned, Monica, that you're not getting the sign-ups and the results that you want at the moment. So there's obviously something there that isn't quite refined, that isn't quite working for you. So going back through this process of refining and making sure that there are no broken links anywhere in the business model is really key. And then everything can start working for you the way you want it to.
Yeah. I need some audit probably on my ideal client, module 1 and module 2.
Done.
Done. And my current structure, I can't remember which modules those are, but yes, tick.
Yes, done.
And ads and the funnel. And I can't remember which modules they are. Is that 3 and 4, I think?
4 modules, yeah.
So it sounds like it's a tick, tick, tick all the way through this. And, even if there is a module that you think you've got absolutely nailed, i.e. the Facebook community, the fact that you're not driving people in it also makes me think that the reason why my group grows so quickly is not just the Facebook ads, but it's also the word of mouth. I have an automatic approval on people coming into the hub if they have been referred into by somebody else. And I have to say, every day I get people in there because people are talking about it. So it's not just the ads that are funneling people in, it's also an organic reach going on as well. So we can help you work on the organic reach through this program as well.
Yeah. I think the analogy that we've talked about in the past, Ali, it's almost like one of those circuit boards that they used to make you do in physics at school, where you had to like join everything up, but then if one of them wasn't quite working, the light bulb wouldn't go on. And that's very much like how the business structure works. If one of your wires isn't positioned quite right, or if there's a broken link somewhere, your light's out. And we want you to be lit up.
Yes, exactly. So we can show the path for everybody. So those are the 8 modules. It might be that one of them just needs tweaking. Okay. Right, we've finished all of the questions that I've seen coming through on the emails that we've had, all of them came through the live. I'm going to go up through and do the latest one. So Monica's just responded and said, I think there's a broken link somewhere. The only way to find the broken link is a little bit like Christmas tree lights. You've got to go and twiddle or you're not.
That's so annoying, isn't it? When you get them on the tree and then you hit the...
Which one is it? So I think this program, it sounds like it's going to be really ideal for you, Monica, in terms of actually just reviewing every single process that you've got going down the line. It sounds like you've got a great business already, and it probably just needs a few tweaks in all of the links and working out which one's broken.
Yeah.
I know someone's asked this before, but I did not hear the answer. Is the program lifetime access? So this is something that we have discussed, and at the moment it won't be lifetime access, and our feeling on that is that we would be doing you a disservice. The reason that we came into this to help you have the similar success that I've been seeing, if not better success than I have, and that is because I did the work week on week and I did it. That's not to say that we're not going to give you a buffer, so it doesn't just shut down at the end of 14 weeks. There will be a grace period at the end of it, and if you would like to extend access to it, then you will have that opportunity to do so, but it's not lifetime access.
Yeah, and I sort of, we have discussed this, haven't we? And I think I don't want this to be another program that you sign up to and then don't commit to actually doing the work, because just signing up to the program doesn't get the results. You have to do the work and be in the moment with us and get the action down, get it done, because it's only in actually taking the action that you're going to get the results. So that's not us being mean in taking it away. It's more an accountability for making sure that you are investing in yourself and that you get the result that you want.
Yeah. Going up. Oh, Tiff says, my limiting belief is I'm rubbish at tech. Well, the limiting belief can be changed to be reframed to be, I'm going to get better at tech. I'm getting better and better at tech all the time. And Ali and Emma are helping me.
Yeah.
There we go.
I've got a living, breathing tech geek to help me to do that. So that's a really good shift.
I found that coaches in my group usually have some issues I address anyway, and they need that help and support. I do not modify the message. They can always leave if it's not for them. Absolutely. If it's not the right group, they just go. I was just thinking, so this is Michelle, I think we're going back to the whole, what if you've got health coaches in your group? And she says, I think that if the group is mainly coaches, how many are prospective clients? I've had time to reflect upon this overnight and my mindset has changed around this slightly. Yes, because obviously you're doing the program, but I will just mention on that is that I think if you're talking about your personal group, in terms of your group and you're attracting more coaches into it, one thing you could see, well, maybe you're an inspiration to them and they want to work with you as a mentor capacity.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is that the program is going to be even more important to you, because if your messaging is attracting coaches, which aren't the people you want to work with, we need to rechange your messaging, which is what module 1 will do, so that you're putting the right messages out there to pull in the right people into your community to work with on a coaching basis. Emma, is there anything that you would say to that?
No, you nailed that. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Are the Facebooks on Zoom or Facebook? They a mixture of the two. Will there be replays? Yes, you've got access to all the live replays in the community, and you'll have access to Emma's hub to get all of the replays to watch as many times as you like. Any other questions? I have 2 ebooks, but have no idea how to get them in front of people. How much of the program is about promotion and how much is on the actual product giveaway? So I think that's talking about the freebies.
Yeah, the funnel. So this actually is a big section of the program. It's the biggest section of the program. At the moment, I'm thinking it's probably going to be an entire month's worth of the program, the focus on the lead generation, because it is ultimately the bloodline of your business.
Yeah, and also for us to help you coach if it's working or not working, is like, what are the tweaks that we can do? So you put it into action, and then we have discussions about what's happening or what's not happening, and how you can tweak it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, the lead generation is very much a 4-step process in itself. And what I will do is break that down into 1 step per week, so that it's manageable and bite-sized for you, so that by the end of that 4 weeks you've got your entire lead funnel system working.
Oh, Lorato, I don't understand this. It's just that you said you guys do it again and again for tweets, and I would like that too. For tweets.
Tweaking, I think she meant tweaking.
Oh yes. So we repeat the program and we tweak and tweak and tweak. Yes, but I think in terms of, if you want to rerun the program, then you can print out the workbooks and you just take yourself back through the workbook, and you'll have done it once already. So it can just be a prompt as to what you need to redo again.
So you can download all the materials in terms of lifetime access. You will be able to download and have those. I think what Ali was talking about was the lifetime access to the live element.
Yeah. Can you remind me of the start date? 19th of April it starts, so that's in just under 2 weeks. Is that right? Yeah, just under 2 weeks. Right, I think that's all of our questions. There was only one thing that we've noted down here, was that a couple of people have asked around the private coaching with us. So if you do feel that running through this 14-week program isn't for you, and that's okay. Some people like group coaching programs and some people don't, and that, both Emma and I totally and utterly appreciate that. We both offer coaching privately, so if that's something that you would like to discuss with either one or both of us, then you just need to send us an email, and we can help you go through that. I think, is there anything else that you wanted to add, Emma? Is there anything that we've talked about but haven't covered?
I think just a reminder on the pricing, because obviously we've got the early bird that is available for the next, where are we? It's 4:30, so I think we said 9 p.m. tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So a little over 24 hours. So the pay in full on early bird is 1,555, and then after 9 p.m. tomorrow night, that does go up to 1,888. And then obviously you've got the pay and installment options as well. So on early bird, that would be 4 payments of 444. After the early bird ends, that will be 4 payments of 555. And then you've also got the VIP option for the one-to-one coaching, where you would get a one-to-one session with myself. You'd also get one with Ali, and then you'd get a combined one with the two of us. So if you want to have that as a bolt-on, then that's 750. Okay.
So there we go. I think we've covered everything. If you've got any other questions, please do just, if you're watching on replay and you've got questions, please do #replay and put the questions underneath here, because we'll be monitoring and able to answer those. We'll either come back on and jump on and do another live, or we will just answer the questions as they come in. But congratulations to all of the beautiful people who've said yes and are going to be joining us with the 19th of April. We can't wait to see who else is going to be joining us. It's going to be just amazing.
Yeah. And in the words of Ali yesterday, I love this quote now. I think I posted it in the group earlier. I am not a gamble. I am a sure thing.
I am a sure thing. You're a sure thing. It's just a decision in your head. I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So you will be in really, really safe hands. I've been in Emma's safe hands for the last 16 months. It's been amazing. So come and be in double hands. We'll get you through this.
Yeah, I will.
So lots of love. Have a lovely, lovely evening. Thank you, all of you, for watching. I'm just seeing all of your thank yous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you soon. Bye.